Says we're live. All right, it's great. I guess that means we're live. Okay, so welcome back to another week of Safety Brief. So happy Thursday. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I'm the Operations Superintendent here in 316th.
And I'm Master Sergeant Harrison. I'm your 316th MTL.
All right, so I'm sure that we're going to hit on a couple of topics as we go. I know you guys have lots of questions. There have been some large changes that have come out over this last week. So we'll kind of touch on those as we move. But I'm gonna let Sergeant Harrison cover some of his things because he brings in a nice little sheet of paper.
I do, just a little one. Okay, so just so you all are fully aware, right? Paying attention to your surroundings is part of military doctrine, atmosphere, anything. Major General Edmondson is around. You will see a bus with 2 stars on the front. You see that bus, you salute it. Okay. I don't want to get word back that there was so many students on the troop walk and none of them were saluting as this bus was driving by. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you're marching, you notice your head down. You need to march straight up, okay? It is okay to let your troop commander know bus is coming, just in case they don't see it because they're paying attention to what's coming ahead. But they should already be on it and do the salute, okay?
By the way, not just a bus. There's a staff vehicle that runs around this base.
There is.
White top, 4-door vehicle running around the base. So that is the staff vehicle. There's only one. So pay attention for that one any given time, right? That's not just visitors. So that's the wing commander running around the base.
All right. Especially so, I don't expect them to be on the troop walk, but if you do see them, pay attention. And you might get questions asked, depending on what your AFSC, okay? So just be ready for it. Also want to talk about Form 978. That is a safety mishap form for those that don't know. So if you are involved in any kind of mishap, whether it's happening in the classroom or if it's after duty hours or whatever, get with an MTL or get with your instructor and let them know so we could get this Form 978 going forward, okay? That's also to make things better. So if you keep stubbing your toe and going to the hospital on something, we could say, hey, there's something wrong with the floor here. This person, we need to fix it. Also, COVID testing. So if you go to the clinic and you get COVID tested and then they just put you on quarters, you let the MTLs know immediately, okay? You can also let your instructor know, but you have to contact the MTLs so we can up channel that to your instructors. But also so we can get your roommate and possibly move you and do things like that. We don't need to be spreading if you are sick. If you're showing symptoms and they have tested you, let us know. Call us, okay? Because we need to take this seriously. I don't want to find out after the fact that you've been living with somebody and then you test positive. Also, they are doing the rapid test. Rapid. So you will most likely be finding out that day or the following morning. If you have not, call the MTLs. Contact us. We will find out for you, but most likely you will be results. We'll be there, I should say.
So that's for anybody showing symptoms, right? If you're showing symptoms when you go in and they test you, more than likely I would say 95% of the time, that's going to be the rapid test. That means you're getting results back sometimes within 15 minutes. And those need to be up channeled. Don't hold on to those. If you're still feeling ill, the quarter slip is still going to probably follow for a couple of days, but that doesn't mean you're under quarantine or anything like that. So, right, we need to be in the loop of what's going on with this so that we can ensure, right, we're looking out for the safety of, as Sergeant Harrison was saying, right, the roommates, right, who else was going on. If it does come back as a positive COVID test, then we have to do the contact tracing to ensure that we're meeting, right, the safety and security of everybody around.
That being said, the students that are currently on ROM, okay, look, you're getting your meals delivered. CQ's doing the best they can. They don't need to be doing late night runs to the shopette or anything for you, okay? So we're gonna knock that off. I understand if you get a meal missed, something like that, yes, we will make that up to you, but we're not gonna do special runs like that. If you're running into issues like, hey, I'm running out of laundry, definitely contact CQ. We'll have us take care of it, okay? Because we have procedures we got to follow to make sure that your laundry is taken care of correctly without spreading anymore. But yes, they are not there for personal requests and go get me a soda or something. Okay, so let's be friendly to our CQ. They got enough on their plate as it is. If there's an emergency, definitely contact the on-call MTL, and we will take care of it from there, okay? That being said, we do have the contact role. That contact role was developed for duty hours, after duty hours, but it was really developed for COVID, okay? Individuals that were on ROM that can't leave their room and that need to communicate with somebody, okay? So the contact role is not, I'm in my room, I'm just hanging out, I have a question. No, we have to see the safety and your well-being as well, so you need to come down to the office and we'll talk then. So I know it could be a quick question, but you still have to come on down. We have to see you, okay? So yeah, that contact role, that's really for ROM students, okay? Any questions for me on that? Now, if you are in an emergency, and that's like life, limb, eyesight kind of thing, call 911. Okay, we'll find out. CQ will notify us, but call 911. If it is kind of a medical emergency, but not like life, limb, or eyesight, then you can contact the MTL. Most likely will tell you to call the on-call.
The nurse advice
Call
line?
the nurse advice line, thank you. And we'll go from there.
So we talked about the visits that are going on right now.
Right.
We also have a visit coming up next week. So right now we have 2nd Air Force visiting. Next week we have the AETC Command Chief coming in. So Chief Thompson will be in next week. So realize, right, we talk about some of these visitors, we don't talk about all of them, right? So that's the reason every week we tend to hit on, right, customs and courtesies, make sure your head's on a swivel, watching out where you're going, all of that fun stuff. But we do tend to mention the ones that are going to be in our spaces, the ones that are coming into the schoolhouse, the ones that are going into the dorm spaces, so that you guys are aware. We understand that that's where you live. We understand, right, that's where there's a lot of activity going on. That's also one of the reasons they want to go over there. They want to see, right, what's going on and talk to different airmen along the way. So don't be caught off guard if they do stop and talk to you. It does happen. All right.
We do have, do you want to do the flag?
Go ahead. You go ahead, sir.
Okay, because I was going to have her come on.
That's perfect.
Okay. So we have an in-flat guidance counselor now, 316th. I'm going to let her introduce herself. She's going to come on and just tell you what she's here for, okay?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Crystal Woodbeck, and I'm a military family life counselor. I've got to meet a lot of you, but I sure would like to meet more. I am located, I'm spending about a couple hours a day over at the 316. You can wander in, talk to me, or I'm also at the AFRC that you can come on over, talk to me anytime. And what an MFLAC is a military family life counselor. So basically what that is you have got a counselor at your beck and call. That's me. My door is always open. I'd love to talk with you, love to get to know you. I have to go ahead and go through the major points. Number one, this is counseling, like I said. It is non-medical. It's not going to behavioral health, unlike the step before that maybe you are just having some problems that day, some stressors in life, or just a regular bad time. That's what I'm here for, is to talk to vent to, whatever. It's free. You don't have to have an appointment. You can call and make one if you want to, but it's not necessary. My schedule is your schedule. The last thing that I always need to say is that we do have a duty to warn that if for any reason you said something that made me think that you are of harm to yourself or maybe to somebody else or breaking the law, that we would have to go above me and, get help for, or maybe connect you with another service like mental health or SARC or whoever. But I would never just say, oops, sorry, can't help you there. That we will work together to get you the best help available. Again, I'm a military family life counselor. There's a lot of us pretty much around the world. We're on a lot of military bases, in schools, CDC centers, You'll find us every place, even whenever you leave this base and you're wherever your next duty station may be. So again, my name is Crystal Woodbeck, and I would love to talk to you. Also, if anybody is interested, I'm starting a little book club. We're going to be reading Brene Brown. Any Brene Brown fans out there? Gifts of Imperfection in September. Just if you'd like to read it, it's kind of along the self-help lines, but she's just a wonderful person who happens to be from Texas. So anyway, y'all have a great day, and I hope you'll come by, tell me a corny joke, talk about the book with me, let me know who you are. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see what comes. All right, so we have a couple more minutes before the commander gets here. So, right, awesome opportunity to kind of get our IMFLAC out here to kind of get a face to camera introduction. I would say face to face, but we do that the best we can. So that is an awesome resource for our unit to have. It is something that is leveraged out in our different organizations across, right? As you move on, you'll see them in different places. It is a resource to use at your leisure, right? So just stop by, say hi. If you have something going on, right? Do that. They can meet you anywhere. It's not recorded, so use it. Okay, so we have a few minutes. What are your questions? I know there's questions out there.
Yeah.
Wow. It's awful quiet. All right. Thank you, man.
This just in.
Okay. So, yeah, whatever. What's the little ticker thing? All right. So, a heads up. So we're doing so a couple of weeks ago, we did the vaccination poll, right, to try and get people in. So it is time for that second dose, and we're going to open it up, right, and see, right, who still wants to get out and get this, get the vaccine. So on August 31st, which is Tuesday, so Tuesday the 31st, between 11:30 and 13:30, we're going to be doing a vaccination opportunity in the Commander's Conference Room over in Building 519. So for anybody interested in that, or for those who need their second dose, it's a great opportunity, right, to where you don't have to go over to the med group and do all that, right? Get your appointment. It's already set up with us. The unit's going to do it. So they're going to be coming over and offering up that vaccine. Which vaccine type? I do believe on this one it's going to be Pfizer. That's the one that the military is using. That they have the wonderful, right? They just got the full FDA approval, so we'll be going that route. And I've seen lots of questions. For those who are not yet vaccinated, what exactly is the timetable to get vaccinated without it being a punishable offense? Wow. Okay. I don't want to get too far ahead of what the commander is probably going to cover here. But what I'll say is that DOD has put out the mandate that it will be occurring. It is going to be a requirement for readiness for service members to get this vaccination. Within that memo, which has it been pushed out?
It has.
So the memo has been pushed
We've got all
out. So if you've read that, right, he is pushing the services to come up with an ambitious timeline. What that means is it's coming, and you will be required to, right, get your vaccination soon. As an exact timetable, I don't have that right now. The service has to make that plan. They'll come up with a date, and then you're going to see a plan filter down from there through the MAGCOMs, through the numbered air forces, through the wings, through the groups, down to the squadrons, to kind of give us a timeline of what we're going to do. We'll work with the med group locally. It's going to be based on availability of vaccinations, what the everything looks like. There's obviously going to be some exemptions that will occur. So all of those are going to come into play. But it's all being worked on as we speak. It is a priority for the military. Obviously, right? When you're talking about readiness, it's one of the top priorities for our services. But if you look at world events, there's lots of things going on that also are taking time and attention. So as far as having an exact timetable, I don't think we have one right now. And so, expect it to be ambitious as it says. So I think it's coming. It's going to come quickly. But as far as what that's going to be and the punishable offense, that's also probably still in discussion. So my guess is, if you look at the history of kind of the way flu shots have worked and the way other vaccinations have worked throughout the service, it will probably give you a pretty good idea of what that could look like. But there's no exact timeline for the Air Force as far as I'm tracking as of the time right now.
As far as religious exemptions, come see us. We'll get you hooked up with the chaplain, but we have to fill out the paperwork to even be approved that way. Okay.
So whether it's a religious exemption, a medical exemption, there are pathways and processes for those. So if that's something you feel is potentially something that you're looking to go down, talk to the MTLs and we'll start getting those processes set up.
That being said, with I think it was Airman Mulder on there about what do you see students messing up without processing. 30-day out, make your 30-day out. Also, get with your instructor if you don't have an assignment yet. So if you're coming up on your 30-day out and you don't have an assignment, we need to get that ball rolling. So
Chief says it every week.
Yeah.
Every single week. That's how she wants to close out this safety brief, 30 days out. If you don't have an assignment, go talk to the MTLs, talk to your instructors. That needs to occur. If it's 2 weeks out from your graduation, you need to get on the ball with that and really hammer it home. And that means you've done everything in your capacity to make sure you have everything set up for your orders. If you still don't have an assignment, you really need to reach out and make sure that you're letting us know that so we can get that set up. Because orders are going to take time. So continue to watch that. If you're a week from graduation, we're behind the power curve, way behind. On top of those things, like I said, make sure you're doing what you can do, If you change something in your process, if you get married 2 weeks out, that's going to be a monkey wrench. It's not something that can't be worked through, but it's going to be something you are going to have to then understand that you're probably not getting out of here on time, because for that, you're going to have to go through the EFMP process because of a civilian spouse, potentially. If it's mill to mill, one of you may still get hung up due to joint spouse. So, ensuring that you're doing things as proactively as possible, and really kind of keeping an eye on yourself and your pathway out of here is going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah. So just keep moving forward with it. Always come to the MTL office. Let us know. It's better to be proactive than reactive at that moment. So the moment we react is because most likely we didn't have the information that you were holding on to, or you just didn't know we needed. That's going to be important for your career moving forward, especially if you get married and you want to go with your spouse. In some cases, there has been late marriages where a person goes here and they're already there, and it's like there is no AFSC for that person. Especially when it goes different branches. That makes it really difficult, but we will work through it, but we have to know as soon as that happens and give us some time. So,
is that all the questions that came in thus far? I see there's some internet issues going on. That happens sometimes.
Yes.
All right. So if there's nothing else right this second, stand by. The commander's going to come in, and I believe we have a positive thing that's about to occur. So we're going to get the chairs out of the way for a minute, and then we'll get started again with safety brief.
Stand by.
Sharks, back Thursday. We'll go right front and center. Face the camera. All right. So today I had an encounter with 3 airmen.
All of them positive. The first airman was there because he stole my golf cart. If you hadn't heard that story, look around and find Grand Theft Auto or GTA as I call them. The second airman was coming to me to get some mentoring advice for Space Force, and then this airman here, Airman Woodbury. So there was something, a current theme that was running across all three of those encounters I had with those airmen. It was attention to detail. All right, so lack of attention to detail in one area, great attention to detail in another, and now here, superior attention to detail. If you haven't heard the story, Airman Woodbury, attention to detail, notices something that's off with a small child sticking a metal fork into an outlet. My wife is an ER nurse, and we've actually talked about this before. About 250 children are electrocuted in the United States per year from doing the same thing, sticking a toy, sticking a fork, sticking some kind of a utensil, something into an outlet. It's serious, right? So your attention to detail and your quick action, that's what we talk about when we talk about total airmen. It's not just while you're in uniform, sitting at work or sitting in the class. It's all the time. You're always on. I think you've demonstrated that quite a bit up to now. That's why you've got that red rope on. So we're calling you here to say congratulations. I'm coining you. This is the second coin that I'm giving out to earn airmen. And I just think you're amazing. And I think I want you to keep that attention to detail and that head on a swivel when you get out to your unit, okay?
Yes,
So you're our 201. Oops, whoa, there you go. Almost over.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you,
No telling how many adults. Less than water, right? Oh, sharks.
All right.
And I'm back. Hey, Chief.
Well, look a little different.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel E.J. Mason. I'm the commander now for about 2 months of the best training squadron in the Air Force. This is my SEL for today.
So I'm covering down for Chief Gill. So once again, I'm Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I'm the Operations Superintendent.
Yeah, so I've got about 5 points I want to make to you. One of them is really long. The first one is, as a leader, you need to acknowledge when you make a mistake. And I have been passing out some bad info. I made a mistake. There was a
It happens to
question.
all of us.
Yeah, I know, right? There was a question last week that asked about the mask wear, and it asked for the policy. It said, hey, I'm here, and I'm here. This is what the rules are, and I'm getting all over the place. And then what's the policy? So I sent the policy to the MTLs. The MTLs put it in the Discord chat. In reading the policy, what we realized is it's 2 different things, right? Page 2, 4 Alpha says the wing, good fellow, says that you must wear a mask on and off base 100% of the time. The exception is when you're doing PT. Seems pretty cut and dry, right? And I know this is different for other bases. So if you get here from Monterey, you're like, why do I have to wear a mask? And if you're walking around the BX and somebody says, or outside the BX and somebody says something like, what's going on? Where's the consistency with this? 4 Bravo, right below that, says if you are vaccinated and you are more than 6 feet away from another person outside, you don't have to wear a mask. So those corrections that we've been making to people who are outside, vaccinated, and can prove vaccination, right? We talked about that. And and you're not working with a person, you actually can wear. You actually don't have to wear a mask. And this is something we sent back up to the wing chain to let them know. Hey, our guidance is a little bit of confusion on this because we thought the only time we didn't have to wear a mask was during PT, during physical fitness outside of the track. So I should have wrote down a name on that because but I did not. But I did take that question down to go back and see what the deal was with that. And you were right. So if you're vaccinated and you're walking by yourself, have your vaccination card on you, or have your whatever you're carrying, and use that to and I'm good with that. You can tell Colonel Mason said we're good with it. Yeah, a lot of stuff, right? This is all about to be a moot point, right? with the vaccination
So before
card.
we go
Right?
with your other points, are we talking about last week's safety brief? Because I have one thing I'd like to.
That's the data I got out of last week's safety brief.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that
there
was
was one
of
other thing that
questions.
really got talked about last week.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Which was the buses, right? So I know Chief had said, right, taking a different bus, doing things like that could could be a potential option, we would look at it. So we did take a look at what was going on, and there's some reasoning behind the way it is currently set up. So the buses are static for their times and when people get on and off, but that's really based on courses and the way they're set up. So the way courses are set up is the flight for ASU has split where people are going to GLM courses and where people are going to PT. And so based on those numbers, in order to work that with LRS to provide some sort of stability in the schedule, because that's a contracted function, we had to take a look at when it's most used, what's going on with each one. So because of that, we had to make things static. So it's expected that certain courses will be on certain buses at certain times on certain days. There's a lot in that, and a lot of it boils down to the fact that we have to go through and do essentially mass troop movements to get from A to B. We are logistically on the hook to get our students from ASU to the schoolhouse back to ASU. And in order to do that, in coordination with the base, we do have some kind of inconveniences that have to occur. The timelines are also set up around what should be an 8-hour training day. So 8 hours training day means technically at least 9 hours, because your lunch hour doesn't count as your training time. It is 8 hours in class. Now the way it's set up is it's 6 hours essentially is what we're on a 6+2, which means we're on 6 hours of instruction, interactive with the instructor, and then the 2 hours is more along the lines of your self-study, directed study type functions. That still means you're in the class studying, doing what you do. So that's at 6+2. Your PT time, your airman time, your different appointments, things like that are outside of that. And so I understand, once again, it's an inconvenience. However, for mass troop movements, it is the most effective way to get courses from A to B and B to A. So I hope that kind of explains a little more of why we're doing what we're doing, and a lot of the thought process that's gone in it. And I promise, it has been months of data collecting to ensure we're meeting the right timelines for these of getting people to and from. So if you have more questions, if things are going, please have the conversation with the GLMs, have the conversation with the flight chief, and I'm happy to come back and talk more about it. And we will continue to readdress it periodically and take a look to make sure we're still doing it the most effective way that we can.
Did we get clarification on people being able to use the van for stuff other than just going to medical appointment?
So work that with the GLMs, but yes, right. So if it's a mandatory military type appointment, to include your other functions, such as if you have to stay for, if you are late for loan shark, you can call over there and tell them, hey, I need you guys to pick us up. Now you may wait a minute because there may have already been a prior appointment scheduled for using the van at the time. But that's what that van is for. So if you have to be here for study hall or something like that, we can help coordinate that. Work with the GLMs, work with the airman leaders over there, because they are the authorized drivers of that van.
Perfect. Jonah, great question. And when can I start the process from our religious exemption? The answer is we don't know yet. Right? The policy is less than 24 hours old. What I do have is the talking points that are being passed down from the joint staff to the services and so forth. So this will, I'll read you the talking points, which are the things that I'm going to want to put in my email to the squadron, and then we'll come back specifically to your question. The release was yesterday at 08:30. The Air Force didn't know about this until 9:30 yesterday. All right. So the memo covers all uniformed personnel and states, like the senior mentioned, services should impose ambitious timelines with no firm target for compliance. So that means the joint staff will allow each service to come up with the timeline that fits best for us. So when you ask about when can I start the process, we don't have the process timeline yet for the mandatory vaccinations. So the exemption process is probably something that's being worked in a separate channel. All services are prepared to begin execution over the next week. So that means we're planning, okay? FDA approved shelf life extension for on-hand supplies in ample capacity and more on order. So that means that we have enough vaccinations for all the services and more on order. COVID cases, hospitalizations, and death continue to rise in the U.S. and DoD. August 2021 was the highest number of DoD deaths during any month during the pandemic. So that had something to do with the Joint Force and the Secretary of Defense going ahead and pressing forward with this because of the numbers and the reoccurrence of COVID, which are higher than they were in the initial occurrence last year. Data for millions of vaccinated people show that these vaccines are safe and effective. Any vaccine can have a side effect. There's a percentage of a side effect with anything that you take, but the data from the CDC shows that with the millions of people who've been vaccinated in the United States, that there's a minimal percentage of people with a negative response. Booster shots are authorized by the CDC no earlier than 8 months after the initial vaccination, and services are prepared to administer these as well. Personnel who have been told by their medical provider that they are immunocompromised should be offered an additional dose. So there are going to be some people that the expected effect of the vaccine is not going to be at the efficacy that it's required to be safe, right? So though your PCM will tell you that and say, hey, you're probably only going to need an additional dose, but again, that's between you and your medical provider. I don't know why they do this in there, but it's in there. Flu shots will also be available at both spaces in the next month and can be given at the same time. And they probably bring that up because flu season is also starting as the fall starts, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the same, just like last year, some of the same exact symptoms of COVID are very similar to the symptoms that you'll see in the flu. So we'll be prepared for both. Services have coordinated on medical exemptions, documented allergies to similar vaccines and to other medical conditions. People who believe they are medically exempt should discuss their concerns with their PCM and will need to be documented by a provider, i.e. off-base entities and medical providers will not be sufficient. So I want you to note that if we're talking about exemptions, the first thing DoD brought up was the medical exemptions. So they've given me a plan, giving commanders a plan for this is how you get the medical exemption. Again, the religious exemption is not there yet. And then the last thing, service anticipate reaching 90% COVID vaccination no later than 15 November. Of course, the reserve component could take longer. So that tells me if the plan is for us to be 90% in all services by 15 November, what's that leave us with? September and October. Mm-hmm. So more data is coming. There shouldn't be an effect to training for you, but you're going to be given multiple opportunities to be informed, to get the vaccination, to get the vaccination before we get to the other areas, or to use your paperwork to get your medical or religious exemption.
Once again, sir, right? I brought it up earlier, but I'll foot stomp it now. Your first opportunity, if you so choose right now, because we're still working through the mandate piece, but if you want to go get the vaccine, 31 August, 11:30 to 13:30 in the 519 conference room. We will be giving second dose vaccines from the ones the group we just did a few weeks ago, and then we're also looking, right, they will have initial dose. So for those of you who are interested, you can go ahead and kind of start working through that.
Thank you, Dio, for getting that set. Continue to go after that. So do you foresee the mask policy changing since the vaccination is now mandatory, or will remain the same? So my guess, again, the policy that we talked about that we dropped in Discord for you ends 31 October. 31 October is, well, it's pretty close, right, to this date that we need to be 90% for DoD wide. I'm not the commander, right? My guess is that the wing commander would say, hey, once we meet a certain threshold of vaccination, that masks won't be mandatory for people who are vaccinated. That is my best guess. That is a question we'll take for action and send out the chain. It's probably a question that the commander's getting from multiple areas, but from what I've seen from previous, we should go back to as close to normal as possible.
I think some of that will be based off also on the CDC guidance and kind of where we're at and what we're seeing as a nation, right?
Is the rate still going up?
So
what about boosters?
Correct, sir. And so a lot of that wasn't, right, the mandate currently is is SecDef aligned and then pushed down.
Right.
So I think, right, we'll see what happens as it goes. But hopefully we get back to a version of, right, closer to a little more face-to-face without going this route.
I want to talk about Find Your Fire, right? So this isn't in the mistake area, but let's there's some discussions in this, right? So this was a motivational speech that was set up between ASU and the base. LRS got us out there. I know the title of it, Find Your Fire, might have been a little bit misleading on what the discussion was going to be about, but it was tough conversations, right? It was about assault. It was about depression. It was about suicide. It was about all these things that basically coping with things in life or resiliency, right? I think it's a great partnership between the base and the school, but at the same time, we got some good feedback that the resources that you may have needed weren't set up there. So if we're going to have those tough talks in the future, and we're going to have this partnership with all base partners, we need to have the mental health professionals, MFLAC or other counselors or other people from the command identified there for you to be said, hey, if this triggers something, if this bothers you, if you need to get out of here, you want to have a discussion, come with us and come talk, because the venue didn't really have that set because it was more focused on the students. That's our feedback that we're sending up the chain back to the wing commander. Great idea. The execution could have been a lot better. And I went to the guys' night out, and what I'm hearing is there was a different vibe at the guys' night out, a little bit lighter tone, a little bit better discussion, and just a different point of view. So that's good feedback for us, and that's on us to do better. I think the idea is great. We just got to do it better.
We have to be ready to hold those hard conversations, right? And we are getting better at doing that. I will say the partnership with ASU, right? This base has a long-standing relationship with this community. ASU has been a huge supporter of the military, but right, for instance, right, for our airmen living out at ASU, our contracts and real interaction on ASU property has been less than a year. So this is a growing process for us, for ASU. Yes, we have a long-standing relationship, but as we work through this, I think, yes, right, we're going to see the hiccups, we're going to see these things. I want to say thank you to all of you, right? I understand, right, through those hiccups, I'm hoping that each of you kind of were able to kind of reflect on some of this. It was a resilience event. It is one of those things that, although it's uncomfortable to talk about, it brings up really bad things. It's something that if we don't face head on, it only permeates and gets worse throughout our force, and same thing throughout the college there. So because we are intertwined in that now, right, thank you all for helping support that, and thank you for providing that feedback. Right, we don't want to just say, hey, you have to go and not come back and actually have a conversation. Right. So the feedback we're getting is going to help build that even better and stronger for those next year. Right. So hopefully, right, hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully you learned a little something. And it's only going to make you better when we have our resilience day and have to talk about those tough conversations again in a little different aspect.
Moving topics, PT, right? Thank you for being the builders of the concepts for the new Air Force fitness test. Goodfellow was one of the bases selected, and you might not have known why, but the UFPM PTL split up the different new exercises that are going to be included in the new test. So each flight had a different opportunity to experience the exercise. We only had one injury during the event, during the burpees, so good on us, and it's just actually some good feedback that we'll send back up the chain. But I was expecting like a few data points, maybe a couple dozen data points, and the UFPMs came back and told me that it's 225 data points to send back up the chain. I can't imagine that there's going to be any other squadron or probably any other group that has that much data to actually go back in, because the Air Force is data driven, right? and we're going to put the results, and you probably have a lot to do with what the real PT test is going to look like for the service come January when this gets rolled out. So good on you. I know not always knowing the why with it, but we appreciate your effort on that. As far as I was tracking, the part about people upset was not about the topics themselves, but the lack of wanting these topics would be discussed. Absolutely. Zazo, so this was the 5th annual Laura Bush Women's Health Institute Find Your Fire at Goodfellow. So I wasn't here 5 years ago, and you weren't here 5 years ago. I don't think either one of us was here a year ago. So as a unit, we owe that a little bit better to go back and do the homework. So I could talk to you before you went out to Find Your Fire and say, this is what the event is. These are some of the topics that are going to be covered. And this is where the help for you is going to be sitting if you feel like that's you need that help. So Zazo, I am going to take that additional feedback and send that back up the chain, because Find Your Fire sounds like to me like it's going to be find your fire in life, find your passion in life, which maybe you could tie that to it, but that's a fair one.
Yeah, and the flyer was also not as explicit on what was going to be discussed, so it did catch us a little off guard on that one also. So we absolutely agree with that feedback, and thank you. So we'll take that one and kind of provide that back out to not only our chain but through ASU. Van Duzer and GTA. Congrats, right? Finally. So glad to see that one's working out.
Rose, when you leave here, don't make sure GTA. Make sure you don't take my golf cart when you try to leave the base.
Yeah,
that's not how you get home. The last 2 things I have is if you haven't noticed, there is a ton of general officers, a ton of command chiefs, and other distinguished visitors on the base. One of the reasons is because of the work that you guys are doing. In strategic competition, as we go against these major threats, you're important. The relationship that we have in San Angelo, where you guys, with ASU, where you guys are sitting there and showing the prototype of this is how you integrate into a civilian education institution is I mean, it's leading edge. And basically how we've come out of COVID and hybridized, should I say, our learning. These are all things that a lot of people are interested in. So I am sorry if you are getting tired of seeing DVs or seeing cars or saluting and all that stuff, but I am pushing all the goodness is coming out of the 316. And if we can get, I know the staff's probably getting tired of it, but if we could get distinguished visitors to come see you guys every month, we are, because the work that you're doing is that good and that important. And the last thing I've got is came out Sunday afternoon to the Sunday mentoring sessions that Phil Brown and the Red Rope set up for me. I think this time we just talked about mentoring. Outstanding turnout, guys. So thanks for coming and spending the afternoon with me and Roman and Remy as we talk about mentorship. And I'll try to take it out to you guys at least once a month and talk about different topics. I'm interested in what you want to talk about, and I also have some things that I want to talk about, and we'll work that out together. But I appreciate the time. I appreciate the interaction. Those who sent me emails or notes to follow up with, I've already sent you replies back and other POCs. So this is how it's supposed to work, and I appreciate the communication back and forth. Anything that you want to say to us, if you're not seeing me over in the dorm, you see me on this weekly, we can go from there. And you don't have to put it on Reddit, because you can just tell us, right? You can put it on Reddit.
If you don't want your name attached to it, you don't want to go that route, right? We have feedback boxes in every building that is the 316s. So we have feedback boxes in 3139. We have feedback boxes out at ASU. We have them in every schoolhouse. So, right, it doesn't take much to do that, right? You don't have to put your name on it. If you can, put a little date on it so we kind of know what's going on. If you want feedback direct to you, put your name on there. We will get it back. We'll either get direct to you, or we're going to go and have a chat with the flight and get that message to you. But once again, you don't have to wait till the end of course critique. You don't have to wait. You don't have to voice everything on social media, right? That gets some churn. It doesn't necessarily get you the answer you're going to look for, because what that usually means is you don't know the why. And if that's what you need is the why, right? Let us know. We're happy to have a conversation and try to kind of get to that understanding of why.
I think a perfect example on that why is that first thing we brought up with the whole, why do I have to wear my mask if I'm by myself and wear the policy? If I wouldn't have saw that question in here, I probably wouldn't have gone back to go reread the policy and drop that note back to the team. So as a former soldier, I didn't ask why a lot. One thing that's unique to our service culture is the why. I mean, we are super professional and we can do anything, but sometimes airmen just need to know why. So we are listening, and we're okay with that. Standing by for questions. Or you got something you want to cover specifically?
No, sir, I do
Okay.
believe we've touched on the
Yeah.
topic.
Van Duzer hadn't even left yet. Ma'am? Okay.
So the DO wanted me to remind you on those comment boxes that I brought up about all the buildings. We're checking those at least twice a week. So typically it's a Monday and Friday pickup. So we try to catch everything in between. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know what's going on. If there's something that needs anonymously to get to us, that's an easy way to do it. I always still recommend, right? Try to use your chain, right? Give them an opportunity. This is just another opportunity to kind of reach out and get something known that may not be able to be addressed or you're not comfortable addressing through your normal channels.
When Dio pulled it out, she had typed, she had written, she had sticky notes, she had it all. We don't care how, just send it. Give them a minute for questions. Van Duzer's acting like start now. I'm out of here. Bye bye, little people. Bye, Texas.
Been here long enough. I got to go. That's okay, Van Duzer. Stay in. There's a chance you're coming back as an instructor.
For sure.
And I promise, it's worth it. It's a rewarding thing.
That means no. What he means is no.
He's trying to say no, but
He's got to check
as
that.
I said, right, for those who caught my intros when I first got here, right, this is my third time here. So, and that's not to include I don't even know how many TDYs that I've been here. So, Goodfellow is not that bad. Your training time is short. I know it can seem long day to day, but when you look back, it flies by. Even if you're stuck here like Van Duzer.
Sweet. Looks like they're
They're quiet today.
this new crew.
There's a lot of information to digest. You got a lot of talking points today, sir.
Yeah. So to the NTLs, I'll be crafting up the way ahead for COVID as we know it, probably Friday or Monday to send out. It'll be based on what the wings policies are and timeframes. I think we have some dates set up coming. It's been kind of fluid. So I'd rather measure twice and cut once. Because I think when we send out the mask policy, right, that was sent out a policy, then we sent out a mask and card policy, then the wing sent out a policy, and then DOD said nope, and then we had to change the policy. It's confusing. So yeah, so let's
we were handling.
Yeah.
quite a few.
so let's get there. All right, I appreciate it.
But we're going to try to do it deliberately. So.
Bloods in the water. See y'all.